A clay tablet can survive longer than the knowledge it once carried. Its surface may remain intact. Its signs may remain legible. Yet the training that made those marks ordinary can disappear. The object remains, but the system that made it usable has already begun to fail. This is before logic, a history of rules before they were written. Knowledge did not decay only when records were destroyed. It decayed when the relation between a record and its conditions of use weakened. A surface could preserve marks while losing procedure. A copy could preserve wording while losing emphasis. A formula could survive after the situation that made it meaningful had changed. Preservation was not a single act. It was a chain of dependencies. The first dependency was material. Clay, papyrus, wax, parchment, stone, and memory each stabilized information differently. Clay could endure, but only for those who still knew the script. Papyrus could carry long arguments, but not dampness or neglect. Wax allowed correction, but encouraged erasure. Stone resisted time, but selected only what was worth cutting. Every medium preserved one layer by exposing another. This made ancient knowledge uneven. Some information endured because its carrier endured. Some because institutions repeated it. Some because later readers valued it. Other information disappeared without being refuted or rejected. It simply lost the mechanism that reproduced it. Decay was often most resistant to detection when it appeared as continuity. A text was copied, a line was repaired. A difficult term was replaced by a clearer one. Each act could protect transmission. Each act could also remove evidence of an older form. The record became more readable while becoming less recoverable. Technical knowledge was especially exposed to this thinning. A mathematical procedure was not only a sequence of signs, it belonged to training habits, units, problem types, and standards of acceptable solution. Babylonian mathematical tablets preserve procedures with control, but many reflect scribal education more than theoretical exposition. They show how problems were worked, not always how the system around those problems functioned. Precision can conceal loss. A number may be exact while its measurement context is gone. A table may be complete while its observational routine is uncertain. A rule may be stable while its range of use has narrowed. Accuracy at one layer does not guarantee completeness at another. Repetition reduced risk, but introduced another. Repeated forms were easier to teach, copy, and recognize. They made information portable across time. But a repeated form can continue after its reason has weakened. A formula can become authoritative through familiarity. Stability can hide decay. Oral transmission managed instability through constraint. Meter, rhythm, sequence, formula, and repetition made long transmission possible. These structures did not merely assist memory. They shaped what memory could carry. Material that fit the pattern was protected. Irregular detail was exposed. Compression made knowledge transmissible, but compression also lowered resolution. Writing changed the failure point. It allowed information to outlast living specialists, but it created dependence on scripts, storage, copying, and interpretation. A written record could survive beyond the community that used it. When that happened, the document did not become false. It became thinner. The survival of Greek philosophical and scientific material shows the same pressure at larger scale. Ancient works reached later readers through copying, quotation, excerpt, translation, cataloging, commentary, and accident. Some texts survived directly, others survived through fragments or summaries. The surviving record is not a map of what mattered in antiquity, it is a map of what later systems continued to carry. Aristotle's corpus, Stoic logic, and Epicurean writings demonstrate different transmission pressures. Aristotle's works pass through complex preservation histories. Stoic logic is known largely through later reports and fragments. Epicurean material survives unevenly through quotations, later copies, and carbonized scrolls from Herculaneum. The loss is not only numerical, it is relational. A doctrine may remain without the debate that constrained it. A conclusion may remain without the vocabulary that limited it. A school may be known through opponents who preserved its claims while rejecting its assumptions. Libraries attempted to reduce decay by concentrating records and organizing retrieval. They made comparison easier. They made duplication possible. They gave texts institutional shelter. But centralization also created vulnerability. A collection could burn, decline, disperse, or narrow under changing priorities. Order increased preservation, while making preservation dependent on the institution that maintained order. Selection was built into this process. Texts survived because they were taught, copied, cited, stored, translated, or made useful inside later systems. Prestige mattered, language mattered, cost mattered, educational repetition mattered. A work did not need to be judged unimportant in order to vanish. It only needed to fall outside reproduction. Copying was the condition of survival and one source of alteration. A new copy could rescue a damaged text from physical loss. It could also introduce omission, substitution, or explanation. A correction could become a corruption. A corruption could become the only surviving form. Ancient knowledge systems had to balance two requirements that could not be fully reconciled. Knowledge had to be stored, or it disappeared with its users. Knowledge had to be used, or its stored form became inert. Storage without use preserved objects. Use without stable storage produced variation. Every solution adjusted the balance rather than removing the problem. Information decay was therefore not a failure outside ancient knowledge systems. It was one of the conditions under which those systems operated. What survived did so because it became compatible with available materials, institutions, languages, and routines of reproduction. What disappeared often did so because no remaining structure could keep it usable. The ancient record is not simply what remains after loss. It is a record shaped by loss. Its gaps are not empty spaces around preserved knowledge. They are evidence of the constraints that determined what preservation could mean. In the next episode, we will examine oral transmission as a stability mechanism.